Mohair and lip gloss do not mix. Hello and welcome. My name is Bex. I'm the hands behind Daisy and Dime, and today I'm going to be taking you along with me as I finish up a crochet project. If you follow me on Instagram, you might know that one of my bucket list projects for a very long time has been a mohair version of my Foxglove Wrap top. My Foxglove Wrap top is this like lacy shell stitch cardigan that's just like really comfy. It's got these big bishop sleeves. And again, because it's a wrap top, it's just like super comfy to wear. Originally, when I was thinking about making a mohair foxglove, I wanted it to be in a light color, either like cream or blush or like really light beige. I didn't have any of that in my stash. I couldn't justify buying any more yarn, but I did have brown mohair yarn in my stash. And since I have no self-control, I did end up starting on a mohair Foxglove Wrap top. And I'm not gonna lie, I did justify starting this project as a de-stash because I had so much of this drops mohair yarn in my stash. I've been stitching this up using 2 strands of mohair held together. My original plan for this top was to include the peplum hem and actually to extend it so that I could kind of go in the same vein of the de-stashing route and just use up as much yarn as possible. It's rush hour. It was actually my friend Chelsea who suggested that I go for no peplum, but I do like a really solid ribbed border along the bottom. I was like, oh my god, okay, I have to do that. So I thought it would be fun to take you along with me as I finish up this WIP, get it out of my pile. Maybe we can just have a cozy crochet session together. If you have any other WIPs that you would like to finish up, I'm also going to be sharing all of the hacks that I did in order to make this mohair version. So if you would like to also modify the pattern to make your Foxglove Wrap top fit the same way as this one, you'll be able to do so. I'm gonna go get cozy and let's get into the pattern hacking and WIP finishing. So here is what I have so far with my mohair foxglove. It's pretty much almost finished, to be honest. I did the sleeves because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do with the body, so I just figured I would get that done and out of the way. So there are 2 main things that I want to do to modify this pattern. So the first one is obviously the suggestion that my friend Chelsea gave me, which was to add a super thick ribbed border along the bottom and do like ribbed wrap ties, sort of a similar thickness to, I think the sleeve cuffs would look really nice and just kind of make everything harmonious. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing is changing up the neckline a little bit. In the original pattern, you're just adding like a little mini loop stitch scalloped border along the collar. However, you might notice that this top is incredibly low cut. If I was not wearing a bralette under this, I don't even think it would be allowed on YouTube, and this is my bad. I didn't do any like gauging or measuring with this particular project at all because like a big dummy, I was like, I've done a million foxglove tops before and they all fit me great, so I don't need to worry about measuring because I'm using the same hook size and I'll be using the same stitch count. And now I am paying the price for it. If this was any other project, I honestly would have just frogged it all the way back up. I might have even actually just restarted it to make my foundation chain wider along my shoulders. However, this is mohair and I don't think I have the mental fortitude to unravel it all. So we're just gonna keep going with what we've got and just add to it and fix it that way. I'm gonna incorporate some of this ribbed border along the neckline as well. That'll thicken it up a little bit and give me a bit more coverage, which I think would be great. I think the most logical plan of action is to do the neckline ribbing first, finish that off, and then I'll go into making the foundation for the ties and then do the bottom ribbing. Okay, hi, it's actually the next day. Embarrassingly enough, yesterday I was cooking. I had a bunch of hot peppers that I wanted to use up, and long story short, did not wear gloves. My hands were burning for the rest of the night and I just like could not bring myself to crochet. I think this will be a pretty quick project. Hopefully I can finish it up by the end of today. If I can be nice and speedy, hopefully. The last point that we left off at, I was talking about starting on the neckline, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. In the name of destashing, I was kind of thinking that it would be a good idea if I went with 3 strands of mohair just to provide like extra structure. That being said, I've already done the sleeve cuffs just with the 2 strands of mohair. So I don't know if I want to swatch a little bit of the ribbing first. Okay, so here's my little mini swatch that I made, and then this is the sleeve cuff, and honestly, just from looking at it, they look pretty similar. This swatch with the 3 strands of mohair obviously feels a lot more thicker and sturdier than the 2 strands that I used for the sleeve cuff. But again, in the name of destashing, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go with the 3 strands just so that I can finally use up this mohair that's been sitting in my stash for way too long. I'm gonna be starting on the neckline right now. So what I'm gonna do is attach my yarn to this corner end over here. And then I'm going to do a foundation row of single crochets just so that I have stitches to work into. So that'll go all the way up and around and then back down onto this corner. Normally when I'm making a foundation single crochet edge, my rule of thumb is 2 single crochets per double crochet post that I'm working into. However, I don't know if that rule will hold fast and true with this because I worked up the body with a 5mm hook and I'm going to be working the ribbing with a 3.75mm hook, so there's quite a bit of a difference. But then I'm also working with 3 strands of mohair instead of 2, so I don't know, I'm just going to start attaching my yarn and seeing how this works. The goal is I need an odd number of stitches to work the post rib stitch, and I just need the stitches to be worked evenly all the way around this neckline edge so that there's no puckering or pulling or any of that kind of stuff. This was only going to take 1 day for me to do. Truth be told, I literally got 2 rows in yesterday. I did my single crochet row and then my double crochet row along the neckline. And then I did not touch the project for the rest of the day. My husband and I are actually in the process of moving. We're moving out of the city, which is really exciting. Also very stressful. I really had to start packing up some stuff. But today we are gonna get some rows in and hopefully put a dent into this project because there's really like not that much to do. It's just, I have like no time right now to be doing anything. Anyway, here is what I have so far. Got the double crochet foundation row along the neckline edge of our top. Now we have to just start on the actual ribbing. But yeah, I'm gonna try this on right now. I'm gonna show you what it looks like and then we'll go from there. Don't mind me, I have to hold it closed for now because there's no wrap ties on it, obviously. I think just adding the single crochet and double crochet rows, like it already helped so much with the plunginess of this neckline. I think adding the ribbing will be a really nice touch, and the fact that it'll be matching the bottom ribbing and the sleeve cuffs is just really nice. I don't know just yet if I'm going to make the neckline ribbing the same width as my sleeve ribbing. Maybe I'll just do 1 or 2 rows. My plan is I'm just going to try it on with every row and see how much I like the coverage, because don't get me wrong, I do really like a low cut top. I think they're quite flattering on me. However, this is a little bit too low cut for my liking, so definitely want to add just like a smidge more coverage. I don't know if you can see super well, but if I hold the top just like this, the edge of the cardigan kind of starts to flare upwards, and I don't want that to happen. So what I think I'm gonna do is add some increases on the second and second last stitch, which I'm not going to show you because I don't want to flash you right now. But I'm going to add some increases at the start and end of the row, just so that the neckline can continue to remain flat and it won't start to curve upwards. Even just seeing the top like this as is, like not even fully finished, I'm so excited for it. I think it'll be perfect for fall. It will be so embarrassing if I don't have this done by my birthday, but I would really like to wear this for my birthday because I made my original orange Foxglove Wrap top for my birthday 3 years ago. I really need to get this finished. So I'm gonna make myself a coffee and let's get this neckline finished up. I really only think it'll need like maybe 2 more rows, if that. So yeah, let's go, coffee time. We have Loki here to help out with the process. So we've got all of our ribbing complete, and just like we did with the sleeve cuffs, we're just going to finish off with a row of single crochet. So I'm just going ahead and I'm just placing 1 single crochet into every single stitch. Okay, so there's my single crochet row, and you could just stop here, but if you want to do these cute little teeny tiny scallops, let me show you really quickly how I do them. It's super easy. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1 to start the row, and then you're going to single crochet into the first stitch, chain 3, and then single crochet into the following stitch. And that's what's going to make that little loop. So then to continue, you're just going to single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, and then single crochet into the following stitch. So again, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, and then single crochet into the following stitch. So you're always going to have 2 single crochets beside each other, and then you have the 3 single crochets. You're just going to keep doing this until the end of the row. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row right now, and ideally what you would want is you'd want your total stitch count for your neckline to be a multiple of 3 plus 1. However, I don't really think it matters all that much, because since this overlaps, if there is kind of an uneven ending to your stitch pattern, it's going to get hidden anyway because of the wrap panels, so I think we're all good. So in a perfect world, I'd make my loop, and then I would single crochet again, and you know, that would be the end of my row. However, that's not really what I am stuck with, so I'm just gonna go ahead and place 1 final single crochet into the last single crochet of the row. So my border is completely finished now. However, I'm not going to fasten off just yet, because I'm going to use this as a jumping point for my wrap ties and then for the bottom ribbing. All right, I'm going to be starting on the bottom. One thing that I've gone ahead and done already is I've just marked off the stitch that corresponds with where my front panel and my back panel coincide, or where they join. So I just have that marked off. I put it in the center stitch. So I did that on both the left and right sides, so that's all good. You want to make sure that the wrap ties can reach all the way around your back and then come up on the opposite side of your front. Otherwise, they're going to be too short and you won't be able to tie it properly. So the pattern does have a formula to calculate how long you should make your ties based off of the number of shell stitches that you have. Since I've made a bunch of these tops, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. You can totally also eyeball it as well. It's all good. The chain that I made for my wrap tie is 130 stitches long. So I'm just gonna go ahead now and chain 1. And then going into my second chain from my hook, I'm just gonna single crochet back along that chain. I've gone ahead and worked a single crochet into all of my wrap tie chain spaces. So now I'm going to start working along the body. So for this ribbed section, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward, just single crochet evenly across. Okay, so I'm ready to start working along the body of the cardigan. However, because of the shell stitch that we used, we now have these scallops along the bottom edge of our cardigan, which is very cute, and it works out great if you're segueing into the peplum hem. However, we're not doing that, and we need the bottom of our cardigan to be straight so that our ribbing stays nice and straight as well. So the way that we're going to do that is we need to make kind of a leveling row. So basically what we want to do is we want to work a row of stitches that vary in length so that the highest points of the peaks are the same height as the lowest points of the valleys in this current row. The way that we can do that is by looking at each of the stitches and placing our new stitches accordingly. So obviously for the single crochets in the center, we want that to correspond with a double crochet in this row because that's the tallest stitch that we're using. So it'll start at a double crochet at the bottom, and then it'll go half double crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet. With our first shell, we're actually going to be crocheting into the second stitch of that shell, because the first stitch we used to attach our ribbing to. We're going to single crochet into that first stitch, or into the second stitch, I should say. Single crochet into the center stitch, single crochet into the stitch after that. Then we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the bottom stitch, and now we can continue moving up and shortening our stitches now. So we'll go into another half double crochet, and then single crochet, and single crochet again. So now that we're traveling down into the valleys of our shell stitch, we're going to do the same thing but opposite. So we're going to single crochet, then half double crochet, then double crochet into the deepest stitch. So you can already see how this is leveling out. So this edge is now straight, whereas here we still have those scallops. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish leveling out this row. So I've gone ahead and finished the rest of the row, so you can see that the bottom edge is nicely leveled out. So you'll also notice that as I was working my rows, once I reached my stitch marker, I just moved it up into the current row. That way nothing gets lost, especially because this is mohair and I don't want to guesstimate anything else. So normally with Foxglove, you would go ahead and make another foundation chain for your wrap tie, then work back on it with single crochets, and then that'll create the foundation, and then you just work the rest of the body because the wrap ties end up getting bulked up once you do the neckline. We are not going to be doing that today, and instead what we're going to do is create the same number of stitches, but instead of it being chains, we're going to do a foundation single crochet. Usually when I do this, I find my foundation single crochets are quite a bit looser and therefore take up more space than if I were to chain and then go back with a single crochet. So I try to be a little bit mindful of that and use a tighter gauge than I normally would. Alright, so I've just finished my second wrap tie foundation. So this is all ready to go. So I think what my plan of action is going to be is I'm going to do a row of double crochet throughout everything. And then what I'm going to do is go into the post rib stitch. I think with the way that it is right now, I'm going to be starting the post rib stitch with the wrong side facing. So I'm going to start with back post double crochets rather than front post double crochets. Then I'm probably going to make the ribbing about the same width as this neckline ribbing, I think. This ended up being mostly the same as the sleeves. I think the sleeves actually might be like the tiniest bit thicker. The other thing that I'm going to incorporate, which is actually pretty much the exact same thing as I was doing for the edge of the neckline ribbing is I'm going to make sure that my second and second last stitches are always increases, and then that way my wrap ties are going to have a nice tapered point to them, which I think is going to look really nice and polished and chic. I'm just going to get some rows done on this. I am losing daylight though, so I'll see how much I'm able to film, but I am getting this project done today. I'm willing that into existence. Hi, welcome to my new house. So it's been a month since I worked on this project. I have not put a stitch into this foxglove top. Basically, long story short, we had our move, which was very busy and very disorienting. And then on top of it, I had a bunch of other projects get greenlit, which I've kind of needed to put on the priority list. Suffice to say, I did not finish this for my birthday. My birthday is October 6th. We are well into November now, so that obviously did not end up happening. I'll be totally honest though, I spent all of my birthday pretty much just like packing and cleaning and getting everything ready to go for the move because that was the weekend that we had moved. I don't know why I was so delusional about thinking I would have time to actually wear it out on my birthday. Anyway, did not have time before, finally have time now. I'm finally settled in, and today is a nice gloomy day. This is like my favorite type of weather to just stay inside and crochet and get cozy. So we're gonna finish up this top today, and I actually mean it this time. Here she is in all of her glory. Right now, my straps and the bottom ribbing is about half the width that I want it to be, which means it's time for me to add some eyelets. So this is another deviation from the original pattern. I'm gonna go ahead, show you how to do that. It's like super easy. So I've got that row to do, which is like the eyelet foundation row. I have one more row of ribbing to do, and then it's just the single crochet and that little scalloped loop stitch border that'll go along the bottom. I don't think I'm going to be including the scallops on the bottom of the straps, just because the top of the straps don't have any of that detailing, so I don't want it to look weird. So I'll probably just do another row of single crochet just along the straps, but then when it gets to the body, I'll do the actual loop stitch. Okay, let's finish this up together. Remember that these stitch markers correspond with where the front and back sections meet up. So these are effectively our side seams, which is where our eyelets need to go. So I think I had actually gotten all the way to this point, and I was gonna film, and then I either ran out of daylight or got super busy. I don't remember, I'll be completely honest with you. If you see that the yarn is kind of kinked, it's because I had already worked all the way up to my stitch marker, so I had to rip it back a little bit. With the changing of the bottom from a peplum hem to a thick ribbed border, we're gonna have to change up not only the placement of the wrap ties, but also the placement of the eyelets. In the original Foxglove pattern, the eyelets are created in the same row that you actually make the wrap tie foundations, and it's right before you start creating the peplum, and that's because the wrap ties function as a belt, effectively, so it gets cinched in around your waist. We're not doing that here. Instead, what we're going to do is create the eyelets about halfway into the desired width that we want our ribbing to be. I want my ribbing to be 4 rows thick, so I had worked 2 rows of ribbing, and then on my 3rd row, I went ahead, did my post rib stitch as normal. We're just going to keep working in the post rib stitch until you're 1 stitch away from your marked side seam stitch. So as you can see, I have my working loop here and my marked stitch here, and there is 1 stitch in between. To make the eyelets, it's pretty simple. You're just going to chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then go right back into your post rib stitch into that 4th stitch. And this is going to create a nice hole for your wrap ties to pass through. Now, obviously, the size of the eyelet is completely up to you. If you're working a super thick ribbing, like something like 5 inches, you can make more chains and skip more stitches, or vice versa, make less
chains and skip less stitches in order to accommodate the size of your ribbing. You can test the width of your eyelet by just passing one of your wrap ties through the eyelet. Obviously this is going to be thicker, but basically what you want is an eyelet that is big enough that your tie can pass through, but not so big that it's like super roomy, but not so tight that it's difficult to pass it through the tie. So once you've completed your eyelet, just continue working in post rib stitch until you're 1 stitch away from your stitch marker on the opposite side. I am 1 stitch away from my stitch marker, so I'm just going to go ahead and chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then go ahead and continue in my post rib stitch for the remainder of the row.
My 2 eyelets are all finished. So now I'm good to move on to my final row of ribbing. Since this is going to be with the wrong side facing, I'll be doing back post double crochets. And then when I get to these chain spaces over here, basically all I'm going to do is make 3 double crochets into this chain space. So yeah, we are down to our final row. Very excited to just have it almost done and over with. Alright, it took well over a month to finish this, but we got there in the end. Our modified Foxglove Wrap top is finished! Ah! I am so happy with how this turned out. I literally can't even put into words, like, the joy I felt weaving in that last little end, getting this off of my hook, and then, like, wearing it. I'm so happy. It's honestly amazing to me how just 2 little tiny changes to the pattern completely changed the silhouette. While I'm a huge fan of the original Foxglove silhouette with the peplum hem, I'm really happy to have this version in my wardrobe now. And also it's so fun to have a version of this top that's in like a completely different material. Mohair, it really does transform this design into more of like a sweater versus a blouse. It's so lightweight as well. I think by the end of this project, I used about 2,200 meters of mohair yarn, and it feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. Did it take me well over a month to complete basically like 5 hours of labor? Yes. Could I have edited all of that footage out to make it more streamlined? Yes. I decided not to though. I feel like it's good to show an unfiltered approach to how long WIPs can take sometimes. And for some reason, it's always the WIPs that have like next to no work to do. It's always the ones that are like 90% of the way complete that take the longest to finish. I don't know, at least in my experience, that's usually what it ends up being. I feel like there's a lot of guilt that comes with having projects that aren't 100% complete. I don't know, if you're somebody who tends to finish all of their projects in a timely manner, amazing, I am so proud of you. My brain is not wired to do that sometimes, and sometimes it takes a really long time. Sometimes life gets in the way, sometimes you're just not feeling that project, sometimes you just have no creative energy whatsoever, and that's completely okay. I think it's okay to go your own pace. It's okay to be slow. This is an inherently very slow craft. Since this pattern hack was pretty highly requested on my Instagram once I started teasing it, I do have a file that you can download in my description below. It's basically just a walkthrough of everything that I did in order to transform my original Foxglove pattern into this modified version. So it goes over all of the pattern hacks, everything that I included from the original, everything that I omitted, everything that I changed, etc., etc., all in the document down below. So if you want to try making one of these tops and pattern hacking it yourself, you're able to do so with the instructions down below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to leave a like. And if you have plans to make your own pattern hacked version of Foxglove, please let me know below what color you're going to make it in. I still think that this would be absolutely stunning in a lighter colored mohair, but I also think a bright color would look so good as well. Like imagine this in like a bright red or like a blood red color. I think it would just be phenomenal. And if you'd like to see more content from me, please consider subscribing. I've been having so much fun with these vlog style videos lately. It's just been really nice and relaxing to just share my process in a really low-key way. So if you want to see more of that, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched all the way to the end, you are a gem and I love you. I hope you have a fantastic and cozy day and I will catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye!